I'm going to show you how to build this beautiful entry table. So my wife wanted this entry table. She was looking at some online. They went up to $500,000 and I thought, wait, might as well build it. Got a new dust collector, want to test that out. So I'm going to show you how we built this. It costs less than $50 to build with some standard lumber you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. It doesn't have a single screw in it. We only use glue to hold this together and some really cool joints. Also, if you want plans for this table, we're giving them away for free on our website. If you click the link below, there's a link to Living Liesl blog. It'll have all of the instructions on how to build this, along with a link to the plans that you can download for free. The plans will show the specific dimensions that we built this out, but you guys can always adjust those depending on how big or small you want the table. So if you guys could go ahead and give me a like for this video and subscribe if you guys want to see some of my new builds that I'm coming out with or some of my previous videos, feel free to do that, but let's hop into it.
Okay, so the first step in the process is to go ahead and get your lumber as straight as possible. So I'm using my joiner here. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can use your table saw with the board screwed to a 2x4. There's a couple of videos on YouTube I've seen on how to do it. But if you have a joiner, this is going to be the easiest way because we're doing this to all of the boards. Make sure your table saw blade is square and that it's high enough to cut through your wood and give you a clean cut. Now this is a 2x6, 5.5, and so we're just going to rip these down the middle to get 2 equal pieces. So I wanted to show you guys what that sounded like. That is a dull blade. I need to get that one sharpened, but luckily I had one of these Freud blades, one of the commercial ones, laying around, and I put a new 12-inch blade on my miter saw. After that, these things just ran through like butter, and so I wanted to show you that just in case you guys are having some similar issues. Now here we're checking to make sure that we have the right width of this table, since we're kind of winging it on the design here as we build the project and do the video. And I'm cutting all of these kind of the same width, but I'm not cutting them to the final dimension so that when I run them through the planer, I'm not getting a snipe when I do the final dimensions or final cut. So since we're running them through the planer, it will, or has the possibility to give a little bit of some snipe and give us some uneven finished look. So set up your planer so that you're not taking a ton of thickness off of each pass. This is really important. It saves your blades, and second, it won't provide a ton of snipe. Also, here's a little tip. You guys can see me running these boards together through the planer, kind of offset to each other so that I really eliminate snipe as these go through. And we did both the top and bottom of these boards, so we're doing about 4 passes total for each of these, but it's really important to have the same thickness so that when we put it together, it fits perfectly.
So this is the design that we're going to do, and the reason we're going this route is to just make sure that the piece stays together really well. So making these all the same width, it allows us to glue these boards vertical within this slot, which gives a lot of surface area for that glue to hold this piece really solid. Now, we could just make a bunch of slabs and screw them together from the top or use a Craig jig, but I think that this is going to be the most stable, and also this piece is going to last a lot longer. So by going this route, you're not only getting the support from the bottom of this piece, because that second piece is going to sit below it, but you're also getting all that glue surface in these 3 spots. So that's going to help just this stay together really solid, and it's going to give it a unique look because we're going to see some end grain on both the sides of the table and the top of the table.
So the next step in the process is to get your legs and your tabletop cut to the right dimensions. So you're going to need a total of 12 boards for the legs, 6 for each side, and then 6 of the long boards for the tabletop. Also, it's a really good time to kind of mock up and set up how you want the grain of the wood to look when you guys start to glue up all of your pieces, and just get that clean look that you're looking for. Use a lot of glue here, ladies and gentlemen. It's really important, since this is the only thing holding this table together. You just want to make sure that's super glued up, and you got a bunch of extra on there. You see, I actually had to go through and add some more because we just didn't have enough. If you don't get squeeze out when you put your clamps on, you didn't use enough glue. So go ahead and take it apart, add some more glue, and then clamp it back together. While the glue is wet and it's clamped, you actually have a lot of wiggle room. These boards will move around pretty easy, so if something's uneven, just use some pressure and get it all straight. Now spend a little bit of time and get the top set up the way you want it, so that when you glue it together, it looks perfect. So this is kind of a mess up on our end. We were mocking everything up, and for the life of us, we just could not figure out how this table was going to be put together. We thought we made a big mistake, but you can see I just turned the board around and everything was back to normal, and we were back to building. This was the most satisfying part of our project, was putting the tabletop and attaching it to the legs. The joints that we built they just fit so well. They weren't perfect, I'll tell you that, but we were really happy with the way it fit. Nice and snug. I had to use the hammer to get it just to fit in there nice and perfect. Just really happy with the way it turned out. At this point in the build, it's just really important that you make everything nice and square. So get your big framer square and hammer and clamps, and just make sure that everything is nice and snug and fits the way that you want it. We did bring the table in to make sure that it fit perfect in the space that we're planning to put it, and we were really happy with the dimensions. It was the perfect height and width, and so at this point all we need to do is cut the little ends off and finish it up. I will admit this is probably not the best way to do things, but it worked for us. So I took a 1x4. Since the top of the legs were a little bit longer than the tabletop, I needed a smooth surface to put my saw across, and once we did that, we would then have a smooth surface to cut the tops off. I didn't want to hold my saw sideways, so we flipped the table up. Afton had her shirt for safety glasses, and we cut away. Now the final piece of the puzzle here is just to finish it up and make it look good. So here we go, let's get to sanding and staining. So overall with the build, we're really happy. I hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. If you could like and subscribe, that really helps us out. And for the free plans, click the link below to the blog, and happy building.